Welcome to the next episode of Get Up and Scale.
Oh, now it's Dr. Dre, the next episode.
Today we're thrilled to welcome Brennen Bliss, the entrepreneurial force behind Propellic, an agency that's setting benchmarks in the SEO and paid media for the travel industry. He's had humble beginnings, starting with a neighborhood lemonade stand, and he's been spearheading digital campaigns, and he's an SEO expert. He's earned accolades such as the Young Search Professional of the Year in 2019, and he's profoundly impacted how travel companies leverage SEO and digital platforms. Brennen, he's an expert. Welcome to the show.
I gotta work, grind. That's just the way it is. I gotta get up, scale, and grow my biz. I gotta scale, grow, get up, go, scale, grow, get up, go.
Thank you. Where'd you dig up the lemonade stand stuff?
I think
some old photos,
ChatGPT
maybe?
must have pulled it somewhere. I had it scrape a lot of your
Oh, God.
stuff. So
I got to go.
Is it
and do
true?
some- so it's
it
true, but I need to do. Did you find
Get
the
that
other
off
weird?
the internet.
Did you find the other weird things, like my brief stint in the circus? Did you find that one?
maybe. I mean, it gave me a whole workup. It's you search
Maybe.
Brennen Bliss,
He's
and
like,
it's
"Let me
just
look
like
through."
lemonade stand and circus worker. That's all it said.
All right.
Yeah,
All right.
that should be your LinkedIn headline. Lemonade stand
Yes.
owner and circus worker.
Did you work in
Precisely.
the circus or market the circus?
No, I did the aerial silks. I was a
Whoa.
Crazy.
participant in the circus.
That's
Like,
cool.
like that's where you're like dangling in the silky curtains.
Yeah, dangling makes it sound a lot more precarious than it actually is, but yeah, dangling in the silky curtains. Yeah, precisely.
Nice.
Funny.
Well,
Wow.
I think we're going to change the direction of this whole episode, and we're going to do a deep dive on circus
I'm on
work.
board. I'm on board. I
that.
can provide my just about as much value as I can there on the SEO side, which is very limited. No, I'm kidding.
Well, as much as we want to dive in the circus, we're here to talk SEO because SEO is something not a lot of operators are on top of, and on top of not being on top of it, there's a lot of changes coming
Wow.
down the pipeline from Google and elsewhere. So, Brennen, for the listener that may be living under a rock or not really know what SEO is, could you just give like a general
And for me.
how it applies to us?
Yeah, right.
I thought
I never
knew
know
it.
how to answer that
Yeah.
question.
No, and I had a really good answer to that until Google decided to change what it was once again a couple weeks ago. So, that's a constantly changing answer. Right now, what SEO is people search on Google, and being in one of those 10 blue links or in one of the map pack results is economically impactful to a lot of different organizations, and moving up position by position, you can actually see an impact on the top line. So we leverage about 3 different core areas of expertise. The first one being content strategy, the second one being technical, and then the third one being authority building, also known as link building, to drive visibility for travel companies. So SEO as a practice is a marketing function that is fairly organic and trusted, albeit less and less trusted every day, given the crap that Google, that it's called, the term that I keep hearing is the shitification of Google, right? But even so, a vast majority of people looking for an answer to something are going to go to Google for that question, and being visible can drive revenue.
I feel like I got to jump on this because I know what we're going to want to do here is dive into the history of your business and dive into what SEO looks like. But it's such a hot topic right now that I almost kind of want to jump in a little earlier. I mean, I think most people are aware, at I/O, Google announced kind of that they're going all in on AI. And, someone like you that's working in this the day-to-day, it has a lot of people nervous about the way the SEO is going to change, and also just frankly paid ads are going to change, right? And so, maybe right at the beginning of this episode here, I'd be really curious to hear your opinion. What do you think the impacts are going to be with Gemini and with Google kind of leaning into AI? How is that going to impact smaller businesses, when they're looking at SEO strategy, do we know what's going to happen? I'm curious, what's your take?
There's been a lot of studies on this. First, let me just set expectations with my area of expertise. We've got 20-ish something, 22, 23 people on our team, and I'd say 2/3 of them are SEO. I'm personally self-taught SEO. That's how I brought myself up, and that's how I built the business. I spent 10 years doing that, and that's my area of expertise, my core area. So I can speak a lot into this. I would say, speaking specifically, Kai, about the AI overview piece, which is you search Google and now you'll see generating, and then you'll see an answer that's AI generated that has a varying degrees of quality. The question becomes like, how can we leverage that similarly to how we leveraged organic search blue links to drive outcomes for our business? And the answer is it's different. There's like a loose to mid-range level of correlation between ranking in organic search the normal way and showing up in AI overviews. That's been defined. I saw a post from Kevin Indig this morning, who's a big influencer in that space, that did a study on about 2,000 different terms using a new tool that works with AI overviews called ZipTie that has the ability to assess AI overview visibility, which is just an HTML. It's just a scraper, like it is what it is. But really, the working function is, okay, if we show up in search now, are we going to show up in this new format? The answer is yeah, about 50% of the time. You're far more likely to show up in that AI overview if you show up in search organically than if you don't, albeit I think it was like 40% of the time, the result that shows in the AI overview, the website that shows in the AI overview, is not showing up in search, at least not in the top 10 rankings. So it's clearly a different algorithm, clearly being assessed a different way. There's limited quality control. I don't know how technical we want to get, and I'll let y'all steer the conversation. I can get super technical, and that can be like, this is how a large language model works. This is how Google is trying to bring in their search results. But we know these strong factors like expertise, experience, authoritativeness, and trust that focus on your money and your life terms, medical, health, money, finances, personal finance. All of their regulations seem to have been thrown out the window. And they seem to be surfacing anything and everything for AI overviews. So I expect it to evolve significantly over the coming months.
Isn't one of the problems too with generative results is generally it's like a winner take all when it comes to results, right? Like before, if you searched for something, you get a whole list and you can keep scrolling down and find a lot of different vendors for something. But for a generative result, like, aren't they just going to pick one, or we don't really know how that's going to
pan out either? So what we're seeing is a substantial skew towards AI overviews showing up for informational queries, and a substantial skew towards them not showing up for transactional queries. So if you're top of funnel, best software for XYZ, that's not top of funnel, that's middle to bottom of funnel. If you're looking at like how to fix XYZ problem, you might get an AI overview, but if you're looking for best software for doing XYZ, like best accounting software, it's less likely that you're going to get one of those AI overviews. So far. So far. And right now, the world is upset about these. The world is very upset about these. There's publishing on Wired, on New York Times, that this is the biggest exposure of Google's really crappy rollout of something that they rushed to market because of market pressures, obviously. And there's a lot of turmoil this morning, and this is May 28th. There was a huge leak of Google's developer documentation for search, and it gave us visibility into thousands of factors Google assesses for organic search ranking. It's a mess at Google right now. This is something they've been trying to hide for 15, 20 years that came out today. That got leaked today. Jeez. So it's messy. And the AI overviews is a clear embodiment of that mess, because it's not a ready product. This is a quote unquote trigger warning before I say the following. But really, there was a screenshot where someone searched how to deal with how to prevent suicide, and the answer was some people on Reddit recommend jump off the Golden Gate Bridge, and that's unacceptable, right?
And Brennan's dropping bombs on the show.
Yeah, I'm I mean, I've got a $3 million SEO practice. I think that's what our SEO department generates in billings. And I don't know what the future is for that. Hopefully Google gets their act together.
Yeah. You're knee deep in it, Brendan. And what you
Well,
said
I mean, we all
about,
are, though, right?
Yeah.
Think about it.
Exactly.
This impacts all of us. Like, think about how much of our business right now is pay per click, right? When how much is that going to change? Like, how much is all, like, think about all the media companies and content marketing and how everything we do today could shift based on how search results change, right?
So this is something I'm less concerned. This is something I'm less concerned about on the paid media side, because the company, like, you got to pay for your. Historically, the internet is the searcher is the person placing the search is the product, and the advertiser is the customer, right? That's how Google is built now. I think that continues. I don't think that if Google loses market share or we pivot to AI optimization, that's a whole bucket of noodles, for lack of a better term.
Interesting.
That's we can get into if you want to, if you have the patience for it. But I don't foresee a situation in where the people who are looking for something don't get targeted by advertisers who want those people to buy their things. It just might not happen in the same place.
Got it. Okay.
Like I there's too much of a product to just let that die away. Like that is a necessary part of our economy and digital economy, and it can't just go away.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's good. In terms, you mentioned earlier that people are upset about this, and I've heard that in my own life. People saying like, "Oh, I hate these AI snippets." Right? Like, I'm curious to know, like, what are your thoughts on them? Like, you having performed searches personally, Justin too. Like, do you guys use them? Do you scroll right past them? Because if this isn't something that catches on and people don't like, I mean, it might go away.
Yeah. I haven't like done enough searches to see what's good and what's not good from results, but yeah, I think like it's going to be really interesting if ads will eventually lead into those results at all, or if not. I think that part of it could be interesting. But Brennan, thoughts on it?
So Google had their Google Marketing Live conference and announced new ad formats for search generative experience. So
interesting.
They're in beta right now. We're looking at them already. I don't know if they're being used. I saw some activity in our paid media chat about them this morning and then late last week. But yes, Google is introducing ad formats for that. Again, like Google as a single entity is not going to let their ad revenue drop substantially if they can avoid it. Yeah. And the market as a whole has a very strong need and demand for advertising because advertisers want purchasers, and there's a lot of people searching. A lot of people, whether they're asking a large language model or they're asking Google search. Like one thing I know people don't want is they don't want ads in their voice search. Like, I don't know if you have an Alexa, you ask Alexa to turn off the lights, and then you get, hey, I noticed that you might be running low on your hairspray. Would you like to reorder your hairspray? And I'm like, no, I just, thanks, but I wanted to turn the lights off.
Yeah. I don't think I would like that much either.
But that's the thing that happened. Yeah.
99% of my voice searches now are like, hey, Google or Alexa, and then playing children's music.
And that's just for you. You don't have any kids, right? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's just for me. I just love the Paw Patrol theme song, which is now #1 on my list every year. So
driving it up the charts, one Kai at a time.
I find it interesting. Like, I think the bigger question here is like, how do we get our businesses to show up as an AI result if someone's searching for, I want to go kayaking in Florida, or I want to do a fun outing with, a corporate team in X city. Like, what do we need to be doing now so that when this is a good product, quote unquote, good product, that will show up on those searches,
Okay. So I'm going to turn this into, I have an actual answer for now. And then I have a theoretical answer, ideological / theoretical. So let's start with the ideological / theoretical piece. Justin, mid coffee sip. Sorry, I was thinking to ask you this prior to starting to say it, but Hopefully my needless rambling has given you a chance to finish your coffee sip. What would you use as a metric to determine what website to show up? If you were, like, how would you programmatically at scale with billions of searches a day measure who is worth showing up?
Yeah. Well, there's got to be a few things, like how many people convert, how many people are on the website, how long they're on the website, click-through rates.
Let's go even higher funnel than that. Like, how can Google tell that Get Up and Go Kayaking is better than, AAA kayaking in Florida?
Yeah. Reviews across the internet. I think
Reviews is an awesome
one place.
example.
Yeah.
What else do you think could do it?
Amount of content that's out there about us, whether that's backlinks or on our own site, blogs, or whatever that may be.
Those are the two big ones: external signals, reviews, and links, and PR mentions. So there's our first transition. In an ideal world, the easiest way to measure the authority of a website is to look at the authority of the other websites linking to it. Welcome back page rank, right?
Yeah.
Google has for 20 years been saying that they don't have a metric like domain authority, quote unquote. Well, go look at everything that just dropped today. Like, I spent an hour reading all that this morning, and Google internal documentation shows that they do have measurements of that. And we know one of our clients, Captain Experiences, that we've been working with for 2 years now. We built like 200 links for them, and that was in a 2-month period, and saw a statistically significant and meaningfully, like to a 95% degree of certainty, a very strong correlation with the pages that we built links to and the pages that perform. So links worked in SEO. Links will work in the ideological world of AI overviews, right?
Yeah.
It just really begs the question, like, why does this algorithm need to be any different? You know what I mean? Like, aren't we just talking about all the same things anyways? And it's just being wrapped in this generative, like, I don't know, wrapping, right? But isn't this product almost exactly identical to what Google's already doing?
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, I guess what's the difference? Why would they change the algorithm just because they're using generative AI to show the result?
If your business was losing relevance, how would you keep it relevant?
I guess it's that winner take all aspect to me that is the main difference, is that there's just limited real estate for generative answers compared to search, which could endlessly go through pages. I mean, is that really going to be the biggest difference here?
Yeah, you get one answer rather than 50. I mean, Google said historically, I gave this talk at the Travel AI Summit that Dan Christian put on. I just did it in Maine at the Maine Tourism Summit a couple weeks ago. And the narrative is Google has always said that their goal is to provide an answer where they know the answer prior to you even asking. Like, if we can just give one answer that's the right answer, that is their mission as a company, not to list a blue links. So I think this is their somewhat miserably failed attempt, at least early on, moving in that direction after a year of testing.
Yeah. That's got to be the answer, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's what makes this worrisome, is that winner take all aspect of it, of generative results.
Now where we currently stand, Justin, you mentioned mentions on the internet. Yeah. Welcome back, web spam. The more frequently you get mentioned online, the more likely you are to, because a large language model uses predictive, like it's what is most likely to be the next word that comes. Well, if all of the content that we've crawled tells us that the most likely best kayaking company is Get Up and Go Kayaking, then Get Up and Go Kayaking is going to most in the probabilistic outcome of a search using generative AI, which AI overviews is. Get Up and Go is going to be the one that shows up.
Yeah, and it makes it harder for newcomers to compete too, right? Like, with this sort of winner take all mentality, it's like the existing players, the ones who are entrenched in their industry, who already have tons of stuff out there, who are already doing tons of sales, right? You know, they're going to stay there. And so you have the startups coming in, or new locations, or we have new franchises opening locations. It's going to be harder for them to elbow kind of their way into the results in a world that looks like this, I would think.
I think so. With the, I'd like in my head right now, I'm thinking like I wish there was another answer, but yeah.
What's the theoretical take you had? You said there's a practical.
That was the theoretical, because that's not how it works today. Today there is no rhyme or reason to what items show up in AI overviews right now.
And Brennan,
Google probably doesn't even know, right? Because a generative model is like a black box. It's like they might not even know why it's picking certain things.
That's what I was about to say. Brennan, do you think people should be thinking about these generative AI snippets as an LLM like Gemini, or is it like an LLM processing the search results? Like, are the search results, do you think they're even a variable there? Because it doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
It seems like it's, that 500 gigabyte file containing, all the data for the LLM, and it's just pulling answers, which...
So it is able to cite current events. So we know that it is using some active search database.
Yeah.
I'm looking for... it was either Eli Schwartz or Kevin Indig that did this study in the past. I think they did it over the weekend, where I have like an exact answer for that. Basically, it was Kevin. It looks like who's a
Good old Kevin.
Yeah. So I can't. Here it is. So basically, what he was finding was that there's a strong SEO performance. Seems to be the best way to appear in AI overviews, even though Google will cite URLs also that don't perform well. And again, this is a small sample size at 1,600 terms in the vast coverage of like billions that are searched a day, right? But when somebody is showing up in search, it's more likely they're going to show up in AI overviews than somebody who's not.
Okay, got it. All right, that's helpful. Yeah. So like a lot of the stuff people are doing, like, might apply, and then they can make one change to this thing and the whole thing changes.
It's just it's amazing to see such an unbaked product rolled out at such a vast scale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So another specific question I had for you is that might apply to our operators is about like Google using their first party data versus third party data, like the links you just mentioned. So in the operator world, people send reviews to either Google, TripAdvisor, or Yelp. And we see Google like slowly sending less traffic to TripAdvisor and Yelp and pushing people to their Map Pack or their Google My Business. Do you think if Google's taking this path that people should really be doubling down on their Google My Business profiles, only pushing Google reviews?
Well, let's look at it in the context of what we know Google can even see. So Google, sure, they can scrape a website, but they need to develop certain technology to be able to show the reviews that are on TripAdvisor.com in Google search results, which they do. That exists. If you go and look at a Google business profile, you'll also see TripAdvisor reviews, right? So first we start with what do we know they have access to? Not that like they can scrape, but that they're actually leveraging for something. They can easily build a program that uses that data, and that's going to be third-party reviews sites, TripAdvisor, Viator. Yeah. Being one in the same that they are, but they do represent them separately. You find that it's very likely that they will leverage third-party review data. That is a anecdote. That is not me citing any specific data or research. We're one of our core values at Propellic is lead the pack, and that's in the interest of using data to make our decisions. That was a specifically non-data driven thing that I just said right there.
Yeah, and don't send people to leave reviews on Yelp, okay?
Yelp is a cesspool.
I don't know. Yeah,
Everyone
I don't know.
hates it.
I haven't met someone that likes reviews on Yelp from the tourism perspective.
Right.
From the restaurant industry, it's so different, right? But it's so weird that like Yelp is just it's accessible.
Let me just like here's my experience with Yelp, and I'm saying here's my experience to erase any likelihood that this could come across as defamation. In my experience with Yelp, good reviews don't show up, and bad reviews show up unless you're paying them.
Right. Yeah. That's what everyone believes, and I think they have good anecdotal evidence to support that.
I've seen it many times.
Yeah. Once you start buying ads for them, magically all those filtered reviews, all those filtered 5 stars that are like 90% of the iceberg suddenly start popping up.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's the way it seems, Yelp. I'm not claiming this is true. Litigious bastards. Litigious bastards.
Yeah. Let's all go
bastards.
Coverage.
That's my personal opinion.
Guy has his law degree, so it's okay. We'll be all right. We'll be all right.
Just increase the limits on your insurance,
Yelp,
and you're fine.
Take a look at this. Recently framed Juris Doctor. You want to mess with this guy? You want to mess with a guy with a diploma as big as my screen?
I earned my first degree the other day too.
Oh, let's go.
Shit.
So I am not a college graduate because that wasn't in the cards for me.
You were too busy like running your lemonade stand and doing like dangling
in
from
my
drapes.
freshman year, in my freshman year of college, my business generated $360,000 in sales, and I was like, I can either go learn how to write a resume or go break out and scale this thing.
There you go.
But through the Entrepreneurs Organization, which is something I'm in that I think y'all might be associated. Yeah, so they have a UT executive education program, and I sat through one 3-hour lesson and got this
Nice.
certificate.
Nice.
And it didn't cost $120,000.
Thank you. 180. Thank you.
Yeah.
180.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't get I was talking about my undergraduate, not my law degree.
Oh, okay.
And yes, noting the monthly invoice I get from my lawyer, though 180,000 was not that bad of an investment if you were being a lawyer right now.
Yeah.
True.
Great life choices, Kai. I was running around on a tiki boat in the sun yesterday with a bunch of dancing people. It was awful.
Actually, no, great life choices is the accurate description of that, I would say. Like in a non sarcastic way. It sounds like you're doing something right.
Yeah. Let's bring it back to like, I think the topic on AI, like we had to bring that up, right? Because like otherwise this whole discussion would have been like, yeah, but you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Things are changing. But most people are frustrated by the concept of SEO, right? I went probably 10 years as an operator without thinking about it hardly at all because I felt it difficult to understand. I thought would be really helpful for people is what does an SEO firm do? You know, just kind of describing your practice, and then specifically like what's unique about the tour industry, right, that you built your practice around? Is there things about running tours and activities that present unique SEO challenges or tactics or strategies at Propellic? So I kind of wanted to throw you a softball here, but also just like, what does the world of SEO look like, and why should an operator, you know, what would they get from engaging with an SEO firm?
So, a couple things. Number one, yes, we do a lot of work with travel and tourism, with the tours and activities sector within travel and tourism. We're positioned broadly for all of travel and tourism. So,
Right.
While we have specific things that we do for tours and activities, it's not the only thing we do. I'll speak to some of the specifics with tours and activities as well. And at the very highest level, just looping back to our conversation on what SEO is, it's authority, content, and technical. So really everything that you do can fall into one of those areas. And then local business optimization is another element of that kind of doesn't fit in those, it's the square peg for all those round holes. But what you would expect from a SEO firm generally is first and foremost make it so Google and search engines and AI crawlers, if you're into it, and make it so they can access your content and index your content. So fast website. These are very high level things. It's much more intricate than this, especially as you scale into like working with OTAs. We do a lot of work with online travel agencies, and that those are a beast because they have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of pages. But everything you can do to make it so Google can get as deep into your site as possible and gather all the necessary information. So I'd expect that. I'd also expect guidance on content strategy, and then mapping that to specific terms that you're targeting. And, you know, if you're working with a firm like Propellic, financial forecasting around every single targeting decision, so you can see what the revenue impact is going to be of a specific keyword by ranking for that in position 1, 2, or 3. And then finally building links and authority. Those are the fundamental things you can expect from an agency. With respect to how we specifically look at tours and activities, and you asked like why should every tour operator be investing in SEO? And my immediate response to that is they shouldn't. It's not always a good buy. The situations in which it's not a good buy is when you're a niche product and you don't have search volume for the things that you're selling, right? When it's a new thing that doesn't currently exist in the market. Other scenarios are when you have a $20 average order value and you can sell 100 tickets a month because your capacity limitations. Those are situations in which you don't want to be investing a lot of money in organic search, and you should look at other channels like distributing through third-party resellers or maybe limited paid advertising. On the SEO side, which again is only half of what we do at Propellic in addition to the paid media, in the event that you do have economics that substantiate investing in SEO, which would be like a great example is multi-day tours. Wonderful economics. Gross margins aren't that great, but the order value is high enough to justify it. You want to have a focused approach that targets every stage of the traveler research journey. It's different from marketing in SEO for e-commerce, because e-commerce generally is going to be awareness, knowledge of a specific brand, purchase. Like it's a funnel. We call it like always on exploration, what travelers are doing. That's kind of what we dubbed it. But Expedia did a big study in 2023 on how travelers research, explore, and purchase travel. And there's really these 4 distinct phases of inspiration, planning, booking, and experiencing. Like those are the 4 stages in there, and there's different names for them. We call them something different because we align them to marketing initiatives. But you really want to make sure that you get the brand exposure on the SEO side higher up in the funnel, and that's somewhat changing as AI overviews start to eat all of that, and then retarget them with paid channels over the period of their purchase journey, such that you're bringing them to the bottom of the funnel at that roughly 73-day period after the initial inspiration for the trip to the purchase being made. So SEO is a great tool for building a data set, first party or third party. Now you guys mentioned first party data a second ago, so I'm going to just dive a little deeper into that. Once again, Google, in their incredibly sophisticated and wonderfully clear and well communicated ways, decided to change the goalpost not once, not twice, but 3 times on the discontinuation of third party cookies. That's once again been moved to next year. But when third-party cookies get sunset, like a lot of these strategies are going to change. And that's another whole conversation we can have if you're interested in it.
I actually wasn't aware of that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, third-party cookies are going away. Retargeting strategies you can't use that third-party data.
Did you know that, Brett?
Yeah, I do know that
That's bad.
They keep pushing it off. And there are going to be ways to retarget, like I think what Brennen was about to go into.
Okay, sorry I interrupted. Briefly.
No, you're good. I mean, essentially, you can still target certain people, but you might have to have more of their information or more information about the session, their website session, etc.
Yeah,
do we still get chocolate chips in the cookies?
Yeah, if the cookies have to have chocolate chips in them for you to be able to retarget people.
Okay, we can work with that. So funny.
So
Nice guy.
Yep.
You're welcome. Keep going, Brendan. I'm sorry.
Well, basically, you need it if you have
I'm
an
a
email.
dad. So.
If you have an email, you're good. If you have an email, you're good.
And you got to be logged into it while you're searching.
No. If you get their email, so
Yeah,
a
you
lot
have
of
the
these,
customers.
a lot of these like pop-ups.
I
like,
see.
Get a $50
Got
discount right now. Like
Got
those
it.
are going to become kind of industry standard and necessary just to be able to retarget.
Yeah. So is that what we should be focusing time on now? Is like, should I have a pop-up on my website that says, "What's your email?"
I would do it in exchange for something. Like
Discount.
Yeah, you got to have a really strong understanding of your customer LTV. I know, Justin, I saw on LinkedIn you're publishing kind of like this award system for going to multiple locations, which is super cool. It's brilliant, honestly. And you can start understanding customer lifetime value when you have a multi-location tourism brand versus it being very difficult to do that with single location. So, you don't want to offer more than you're going to make in gross margin from the customer. That's one of the, like, you see people discounting like crazy. But
Good thing is our margins are high as.
here you go. What are you using? A Stream Deck over there? What are you using to make those noises?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry. About it.
Did you just click the dump key?
Yeah. So
It's
yeah,
a
bringing
picture
it
of my
back, like-
face.
Yeah.
Kevin O'Neill's face. So
Yeah.
what should, like, I guess the question is, like, what are you seeing most that operators suck at in our industry? And what should we be focusing on in the next 6 to 12 months?
Oh my God, it's wild. Conversion tracking, for God's sake. People, come on.
Come on.
Really? Weak. How do you know what's working if you're not tracking conversions? 80% of the accounts we audit in paid media don't have conversion tracking set up.
Crazy.
So quit spending money on marketing. Like I spend $45,000 a month on marketing at Propellic. We have an average customer lifetime value that's substantial compared to a single day tour. But I still want to know when we get a lead where the hell they came from. When you're doing it at a small scale, like not a small scale, but a small ticket price in a large scale, that data becomes more and more valuable because you feed it back into the ad platforms. They get better at bidding. Like there's so like basic things, track conversions, have a purchase button on every page for God's sake. Like there's so many. So here's the tour and activity industry is incredibly fragmented. It's a new industry. My friend Josh Viner once said, who's done a lot in the vacation rental space, he said, tours and activities are like vacation rentals were 5 to 7 years ago. Unsophisticated, incredibly fragmented hobby businesses. Well, some of them have been that way, and then they've grown. So now they're $5 million hobby businesses that are still operating the same exact way, which is fun to see. Because you can introduce a lot of efficiencies. Like I'll see these $5 million businesses that don't have a marketing budget.
Right.
So just, start thinking.
A lot of people feeling attacked listening right now.
Well,
They should if they're not doing these things.
Yeah.
I mean,
true.
yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
I've got my long list of I did a presentation at the Arrival conference on like the 10 things tour operators need to change about their distribution strategy, about their like here's another thing. Like there's a couple of operating principles that I recommend every travel company follow. Like 10% of your media budget goes into testing, hands down. If you know you can hit your target with 100% of your budget, great. That's going to work this month, next month, and the month after that. But what happens when your unit economics tighten up? What happens when you have issues? You weren't testing new things. You can't pivot your strategy. So always be testing new things. Don't necessarily just fall into the things that weren't working, and monitor your channel dependence. That's the other big thing I see in tours and activities is you'll look up and one day Viator is 80% of your bookings. That's scary. That is really scary. Once you pass the 35% from any single channel, when I say channel, I'm talking about like more medium or source, like Viator and Get Your Guide, I would consider different. There's not concentration risk. Whereas like paid Google and paid Meta are different in that respect. Like, but if any one of those exceeds 35%, you're in a really, really dangerous space. And we see that all the time.
Yeah. Are you guys seeing like, where are most operators spending more money on Google ads or Facebook, Instagram ads? And why do you think that is?
It depends on how visual their product is. If it is a kayak tour, I imagine socials work really well, especially when the clear glass bottom, right? Yeah. And clear plastic PVC, whatever it is. I don't know what it is. Yeah. What is it? Man, yeah, see the manatees, yeah. See the sea cows. I've got my dog sitting here. He looks kind of like a manatee. You need to stop eating so much, Casper. But I think that bottom of funnel, like targeting the term, if you can max out your search impression share and you still want to grow after that, is when you go to Meta. Like start with Google, then switch to Meta.
Yeah.
And then retarget your Google traffic with Meta all the time, to the extent that you're able.
So 10% trying things. What's the other 90%?
The things that work.
Just keep that going with the things that are working.
It's
like
10%.
You want like
try
a slush
random
fund. Yeah. You want a slush fund to experiment, basically, right?
Always be experimenting with new things and be ready for them to fail.
Yeah.
What are you experimenting with right now yourself?
Ooh.
Wow. That was spicy.
Where's your 10%?
Yeah. So I've just we've just created an 8,000, like on the B2B marketing side. So first off, you just mentioned Kevin O'Neill. Like we just took their title sponsorship for their upcoming conference, The Port. We're going to Focusrite in 2 weeks, sponsoring Focusrite and all these. Like I've spent probably about $200,000 on sponsorships this year that I hadn't done before. So that's a new channel we're testing. Which is more than 10%, by the way. It's hard for me to get 10%. Like our annual budget for marketing is $480,000 to $500,000.
Yeah. So that's a good one. Like podcasts and alternative media and smaller scale events.
We've got a podcast now on the digital side. Like for B2B on the digital side, we're doing the gift card offers. They work well. We've got a list of 8,000 travel companies that's currently being manually verified and going through each and every one of them and determining whether or not we want to work with them based on all of their firmographics, and then targeting them as a first-party list, not using LinkedIn's crap audiences as a first-party list on LinkedIn. So
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's cool. And just as I want to build on that as a PSA to everyone listening, most people don't know this, but if you have an Excel file of names, emails, phone numbers, you can upload that and you can target them, even if as list as small as
300.
100 in some platforms and 300 in others.
Yeah, 300 in LinkedIn. Facebook needs more because the match rate is so horrible. But
I did something I think is kind of cool in ChatGPT. You guys maybe have already done this, but pulled my customer list for one of my locations as an Excel sheet, threw it into GPT, and asked it to give me the top 10 booking zip codes of where people are booking the tours from.
Yeah.
And then told it to tell me like how far away that was from where the tour is. And it gave me a really good like idea of where my radius needs to be when I'm doing some targeting things.
Cool.
But it also gave me like a couple outliers that like I didn't realize people were driving from like Palm Beach, you know, an hour and a half away from one of our tours. So like I was like, wow, I need to target, just try something that maybe that 10% goes to targeting Palm Beach for that one location, you know. But it was really cool.
Again, the 10% is not a, like if you're a startup, like, so we're building something called the Travel Paid Media Accelerator because there's so many travel companies that want to unlock paid media as a distribution channel. So,
Smart.
That's smart.
So, because a lot of them are losing organic search traffic right now because of all the helpful content updates. And, you know, we actually haven't seen a meaningful decrease in search traffic from AI overviews. Like, I haven't seen it at all. It's reducing clicks about 8% and increasing clicks on other terms like 2%. It's very interesting. But that accelerator program is to unlock paid media channels. That's a scenario in which you need to be spending much more than 10% of your budget on testing new things because you don't have anything reliable. Businesses need levers that they can pull to drive bookings, right? Travel businesses need that. So once you've got things that are working is when you allocate somewhere around 10%, which is a rough number. It doesn't need to be 10 exactly.
Yeah.
Quick question about ad budgets, because this is always an ongoing topic with us, is, you know, we usually recommend ad budgets based as a ratio of revenue, like a percentage of revenue. How do you usually look at, you know, let's say for a mature business that's been around for a couple of years at least, how much should they be spending on ad spend? This is always a hot topic, and we always debate this, and we usually say somewhere between 5 to 10% of revenue,
a mature
revenue target. So, what's your suggestion?
A mature business, so this is a tours and activities business of 5 to 10 million plus, not necessarily, like this is not a OTA with 5 to 10 million plus, because that really is a $1.5 million business, not a $5 million business, but someone operating with $5 million in top line revenue, right? That's what I consider starting, like mature in the tours and activity space.
I meant mature as in they've been around for a couple years. They're not in startup mode.
It's different, because 6 to 10% is the healthy range for. If you look at S&P 500, I think the average company spends like 11.5% of their income on marketing. So you look at all your marketing salaries, all of your you look at your marketing salaries and marketing expenses for software and ad budget, and 6 and 10% is fairly consistent with like guidance from business literature. I'm a growth person, so I spend more than that. We want to grow faster than that. I actually drive down my net margin. I'll take my net margin as low as 5% if I see an opportunity to scale considerably. And I would say the way we generally assess ad budgets is rather than taking a percent, we'll look at the cost per click. We'll look at what level of statistical significance, or not statistical significance, what volume of clicks we would need based on their conversion rates to get the conversions, and then look at their booking targets and work it backwards. Now, we did that last week for a company that they were like, how much do we need to spend on advertising? And we said, well, here's all the math that says about $9,800 a month for this trial is your ad budget, plus our agency fees, which start at $3,500 for paid media management. And they were like, that's too much. We're like, okay, well, what do you want to spend? Because we can test with that. We just have to be more narrow, right? So
that ends up being a lot of the conversation is how much they can stomach spending, basically.
And one of the things becomes a let's dial it in and scale. So it doesn't matter, the least we can possibly spend to know whether or not it's working, and then 15% week over week, increase.
Yeah, I struggle with that same thing. Like even as we open new franchises, it's kind of like, how much budget should we have set aside for the first 3 months, 6 months to really crush a brand new opening, and it ends up being different in different markets. Like some markets you could do well with a very, very limited budget. Other markets you need to kind of go hard with some spending to capture the extra traffic. And I don't know, there's so many factors. Yeah, there's so many factors. Like how many other options are there in that market? How far are you from a big city? Are people willing to drive that distance? Like, I don't know, there's so many like little things that come into play when you open a new location. To your point, the mature ones, I think, should be spending at least 10%. Like, if you're trying to grow your business, if you're stuck, you've plateaued, like, and you're not trying new things, like spending a little bit more on marketing, like that's probably where you need to look.
Yeah, I mean, until you have a reliable lever you can pull that's not like, oh, hopefully we get one booking from this, and it's like, okay, we have a customer acquisition cost from this channel. You got to continue testing things, and that's going to cost typically more than 10% of your revenue.
One of the biggest issues we've had with SEO is that we're a multi-location, multi-site operator. This has always been the biggest challenge when we're looking at SEO, is that we have a fragmented like real estate marketplace online, right? Every location has its own website. And so it feels very overwhelming to say, all right, we're going to hire an SEO consultancy or firm or whatever, but now they have basically 50 sites they're going to have to manage. And it's like, how would you even go about prioritizing that? What's your advice? And Justin, I'm sure do you guys have one website or you do multi-site?
Yeah, just one site.
See, your life's easier. For us, multi-location, multi-site, multi-site operators, how do we look at SEO? What's the strategy there?
Justin, can you hit that dump button for me? No, I'm kidding. That button did yourself. There you go.
Yes,
so
we did.
You kind of screwed yourself with that one, Kai. It's really hard. It's really hard. We have to get really creative with scoping with projects like that, to the extent like sometimes it's not economically reasonable. We've got a company that's got a roll-up strategy of 6 different vacation rental brands, and they're acquiring more that we work with, and their SEO strategy has to be a different one for each website.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That turns a $10,000 project into a $30,000 a month project.
Right. I mean, it has hyper-local SEO, and that's a buzz term, but it has benefits, right? Having these local sites that with all the local content on them for local markets, but it makes. Do you not think so? I mean, I'm curious.
I mean, yeah, it definitely does, but it's
and maps too, especially it's the local maps results can be really. It seems to be very powerful with having local sites.
Mm-hmm. But it also is a cost benefit, right? It's analyzing the so you can perform well in map specs as a multi-location brand.
Yeah.
And by the way, SGE or AI Overviews, Search Generative Experiences, which is now AI Overviews, that Google feature, just uses Google Map. They show the same exact results panel as the map pack, so that hasn't changed.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. It just shows it twice, which makes no sense.
But those of us that have done this, what do we do, Brennen? So we're in this world. I don't think we're changing it, because we like a lot of the benefits of doing multi-locations. But is it when you have this is not going to be a one-on-one consultancy, so I don't want to get too specific. But what would operators like me do, basically?
I don't know. Lawyers like yourself tend to send me a bill whenever I ask them for advice. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, I'm not a lawyer anymore.
Get him.
Not a practicing lawyer. Okay, one time my lawyer asked me for marketing advice, and I sent him an invoice just for fun.
That's
that's good.
I sent it to him at his rate, which was funny.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd be able to charge this much for my time.
I'll just match your rate, right?
It's nothing, right?
So honestly, my answer, and this is honest in the sense that I've given this answer to another brand in the past week, is consolidate the websites if you really want to grow from an SEO standpoint. It's going to be very difficult to do it without making that change. which I know is hard to stomach, but it's you have to scale each site individually, which means unique content, unique links.
Yeah.
You're 50xing
Yeah.
the cost.
Yeah, it's funny because there's a couple of good things that I find with multi-sites in that, like, if one of his franchisees ever wants to sell their business, like, it comes as a full package, which is kind of cool. You get the website, you get whatever. The one thing that's tough for me and like will be tough for Kai if he consolidates everything is, like, right now I have 31 locations all on one website. What happens when I get to 200? You know, like, it to me, the flow of, like, the customer journey gets a little confusing as I add more and more locations. So maybe that's just like a bias that I have.
That could be head trash,
tough.
and this comes from a place for me of before getting into travel and tourism in 2021 or 2020. We were very hyper specialized in multi-location SEO. So that means, like, we have, for instance, a client that we worked with called KinderCare, 2,000 locations. Removery.
Yeah, I'm familiar with them. Yeah.
Yeah, who we've been working with for 4 years. Removery. They went from 6 locations to 150. They're all on one site, both of those. Helogics, we still work with. They have 600 locations. Like,
Yeah.
How do you deal with, like, the unique differences? You know, like, a lot of our like, their tours, and we have unique tours, unique listings. You know, some locations have, like, bioluminescence stores, some don't, right? Some is more family friendly market, so all the content on the website shows children, right? Others are hard party locations and they're all young 20 somethings. Like, that's always been the part of it. It's like, how can I customize the online booking experience when they're so unique across the country with what we offer? You know?
and that's an argument in favor of having the website separate. That's something you would lose, or you'd have to come up with a really unique strategy if you consolidated. Obviously, you still have the local landing pages. So if somebody's searching for kayaking or not kayaking, or a tiki tour in Charlotte or whatever, does Charlotte have a beach? Yeah. No.
Yeah, Lake Norman. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a beach, but there's a lake.
I fly American Airlines about 100 times a year, so I've been to Charlotte a lot.
Yeah.
I've never left the airport, though.
It's great American city. You should visit.
But you have the local landing page, so they're still going to show up on a page that's unique to that experience. The booking flow might have to get more generic.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, good answer.
Yeah, and Brett wouldn't have to build out the website 600 more times for everyone. You know, like, you could free up a little bit of Brett's time here.
He loves building out new websites.
You know, I'm moving away from websites for sure.
He tells me that every week.
But to Brennan's point, like, really the different pages are just on the technical level. In theory, all those pages on all those multi-sites could exist on one WordPress installation, and it would be the same. But there are some benefits, and yeah, we do rank well on the map pack regardless, which is good.
Yeah, map pack strategy. I feel like it's not talked about a lot. Like, most people when they're talking about SEO, they're like, okay, I want to be up high on the search results, right? What I'm finding anecdotally, and what a lot of my franchisees are telling me, is that people are searching on their phones, right, for things to do, especially when they're already in their destination, right?
Yeah.
And a map is popping up, and they're actually searching based on the ranking what's showing up in Map Pack, because it shows up ahead of the results. I feel like people do not think about this enough, right?
So interesting. We have data on this.
Okay, so I'm curious.
So for every keyword we target, we run a statistical analysis of that search term's 100 ranking pages. So, like, we look at the 100 ranking results on the first 10 pages of Google for the term kayaking in Austin, for instance.
Okay.
And we look for statistical correlation between use of any one of a thousand and a half factors. A factor is, for instance, do you have an H3 tag with your target term at the beginning of the target term, at the beginning of the H3 tag? Or how many images exist on a page with alt text? And then we run a regression analysis, and we look at what are the people in positions 1, 2, and 3 doing that the people in positions 88, 89, 90 are not doing.
Yeah.
And then we can also do that regression analysis on the maps pack. Oddly, eerily similar ranking factors.
Really?
Wow.
So the strategy's the same.
Not the
Or both?
same, because the reviews play into it, profile completedness plays into it, photo usage plays into it, but all the authority factors, like the authority factors drive map rankings in our research.
I'm gonna write that down.
Awesome. And then I would assume the map pack has a little bit more to do with the searcher's location than like a generic search result.
It's like incredibly heavily influenced by the searcher's location.
Yeah,
So
and
much
that's-
so you can get garbage results sometimes because like you'll have the worst operators show up first just because of where they happen to be.
Yeah, the
searching
first
for.
ranking, like one of the 3 rankings generally is very hyperlocal.
Yeah, and that also causes challenges for us as like franchise or operators, because we're trying to like go incognito and just eyeball where they're at, make sure their page is showing up, and obviously that's not a reliable way to look at all.
So there's some really cool tools that help you with that. Bright Local is one where it maps everything.
Right, local.
Yeah, Bright Local is one where it shows you a map and then shows you like a grid of all the places.
Oh yeah, I've
within
seen that. Yeah.
5 miles of where they
Nice.
search that it shows up. That's a great tool for standardizing the reporting process on local rankings. And you'll always see that the closer you are to the location of the place, the higher you rank.
Cool. No,
Nice.
that's very good advice. I appreciate you sharing that tool. For Bright Local, for anyone, brightlocal.com.
Yeah, and use my non-existent referral code.
Yeah. Bliss 123.
say it 3 times, and then Genie comes out of the bottle. Let's go.
Bliss 123.
Yeah.
Or it's like a Beetlejuice style thing. I haven't quite landed on which way it goes. If it's positive or negative, but
Yeah.
So
This has been
Brennan,
great.
something we
Oh.
like to ask everyone, after the episode is, what's something you're looking forward to this year? Where can people find you? You said you're sponsoring some events.
okay. So upcoming events in the travel industry that we're going to be involved with are Arrival, the Edinburgh conference, the San Diego conference, the Port conference down in Florida, Focusrite Europe and US in Phoenix and Barcelona, Skift Short-Term Rental Summit in New York, Skift Global Forum in New York. We're at all the travel conferences.
Busy guy.
Yeah, where people can find me is LinkedIn. LinkedIn's where I'm most active. I don't respond to text messages. I hate texting. Email's great.
Same here, brother. I'm in the no SMS club. I hate
145
text.
unreads, and I cleared that out
Oh God.
2 weeks ago. See it right on my screen. But LinkedIn, Brennen Bliss. Brennen is BRENNEN. And then what am I most looking forward to? I'm really looking forward to seeing new ad formats with the SGE product. Or the AI
Awesome.
overviews product, rather. Sorry.
Yeah.
I got used to saying it one way for a year, and then they changed the name like they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brennan, great discussion. Really appreciate you having on. Thanks for taking time from your busy schedule to be on the Get Up and Scale podcast, and we hope to talk to you soon. Thanks again, man.
Thank y'all. Chat soon.
I gotta work, grind. That's just the way it is. I gotta get up, scale, and grow my biz. I gotta scale, grow, get up, go, scale.